I'm going to tell the story of the time I got fired. They basically say to me that they did like a till balance or whatever of the till I was on, and £100 was missing. So I'm like, okay, what's this got to do with me? The same CCTV that saw me put my bag there, the same CCTV that saw me pass her the Oyster card, is the same CCTV that they couldn't see me supposedly taking this £100 and putting it in that Oyster card. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And for those of you who have been engaging with my content and you've watched my previous videos, welcome back and thank you so much. Please do hit that subscribe button. And if you're not already up to date with my recent videos, I suggest you go and check those out first before this one. So today I'm back with another story time. So for those that might be like, what are you even talking about? So I have uploaded 2 previous story times of situations that I found myself in through my periods of financial difficulty. And today's story time is going to be a little bit related but slightly different. So as you've seen by my title, I'm going to tell the story of the time I got fired. Like, to be honest, it's actually quite funny. I didn't even remember this story until recently. And I was like, wait, I really got fired, you know. And I thought it was important to share this story because, one, yes, it was through the period of me going through financial difficulty, but also to kind of like highlight how much I did not know my rights and how obviously I was so young and I didn't really sort of take in what actually happened. But yeah, I'm going to tell the story from start to finish. Let me just get straight into it. So basically, I used to work in a supermarket. It was my first job. I probably have mentioned which supermarket it is in a previous video, so I won't mention it again. But yeah, so for those that know me would know exactly what supermarket it is I'm talking about. It's a very well-known UK supermarket. So yeah, I worked there. It was my first job. I'd worked there for about, I think I worked there for a total of about 3 or 4 years actually. 3 or 4 years? Yeah, about 3, because I started there when I was about 16, 17. So yeah, about 3, 4 years. But at the time that this incident had taken place, I'd been working there for about 2 years at that time, or 2.5 years. So it was my day off. And I was in the area quite often because my ex lived close by at the time. So when I would go to see him, of course, I would be within the area. And I also had friends that lived in the area and stuff. So on this particular day, it was my day off. And I happened to be in the area. So as you do, you pop into your local supermarket, maybe to grab a snack or a drink or whatever it was. And on this particular occasion, the supervisor that was on duty at the time, she came over to me. She obviously saw me, you know, not in uniform and stuff. And she was just like, oh, are you not working today? And I said, no, it's my day off. And she was like, Shay, please, I'm begging you. Like, we are so short on staff today. Like, I could actually cry. Like, that's how understaffed we are. And she was just like, how long will it take for you to like get your uniform and stuff, like go home, get your uniform and come back? And to be honest, when I look back, I don't know what possessed me to be the good citizen employee. I don't know who sent me, but I was just like, you know what, I actually have a spare uniform at my boyfriend's house, so, and he lives around the corner, so I could actually just go and get that uniform and come to work. And she was like super appreciative. She was like, oh my god, like I don't know how I can repay you, like we'll pay you time and a half. Like yeah, that's it. So there was a financial incentive as well. It wasn't just a case of like she begged me and then that was it. Because I was looking back and I was thinking, but why? It was my day off, the sun was shining, like why? And then I remembered, yeah, she actually did promise that she would pay me like overtime pay as well as my normal pay, which looking back, I don't know why she promised me that because I don't think she had authority like that. But anyway, so that's what she said. So I thought, well, I'm not actually really doing anything. It's my day off, but I'm not doing anything as such. I was probably just going to go to my boyfriend's house to chill or go to a friend's house. And I thought, as of course struggling financially, etc., you know, uni debts were stacking, I owed money to my uni landlord, etc. So I thought, you've got an opportunity to make some more money, you might as well do that. So I go to my boyfriend's house, I get my uniform and I come back and I start my shift. Now that day I had planned to meet one of my really good friends. So I had her Oyster card on me. She left her Oyster card with me when we had gone out previously, or she either left it in my car or something like that. So my plans for that day was, aside from obviously going to see my boyfriend, etc., I was also supposed to meet her to give her back her Oyster card. And So that was always part of the plans for that day. This is a very important part to this story. So anyway, so I obviously call her and I'm like, oh. So I basically just explained the story to her and I said, you know, I went into my workplace just to buy some snacks, but then I got cornered by the supervisor who begged me to come into work. So I'm sorry, I can't meet you initially the way I thought I would, but I know that you said that you really need your Oyster card today. So can you meet me at my workplace? So she was like, yeah, cool, fine. I'll drive down, I'll meet you. So anyway, on this particular occasion, I was put on shift in the customer service desk. Now, the way the customer service desk is, it's like you've got like kind of like a little cupboard thing behind it, sort of. And also something I missed. So because I didn't plan to be in work that day, I didn't have my locker key. And at the time, there wasn't anyone else on shift that I really knew, that I knew well enough to say, okay, can you put my stuff in your locker? And actually, I even made that clear to the supervisor at the time. And I said, I don't have my locker key, so I don't know where I'm going to be able to put my bag and my stuff. And she was like, don't worry, you can just put it behind you in the customer service desk. It's fine. And I'd seen a few occasions where a few people did that, like some people who didn't have their locker keys or just couldn't be bothered to go all the way upstairs and just like would just put their stuff in that particular cupboard behind the customer service desk. So anyway, so obviously my bag is there, all my stuff is there. So when my friend arrives, she comes over to obviously my till and we're chatting for a little bit, and then I go into my bag where it was behind me and I get the Oyster card out and I pass it to her. We continue our conversation and then she goes about her business and she goes home. Now, perhaps maybe it was like, I want to say it was about a week after this or so, I get called into the manager's office by the store manager at the time. So there was like a store manager and assistant store manager, and both of them were absolute actually, to be honest. And I hope one day they do get to watch this because yes, I'm talking about you. So yeah, anyway, I didn't really like them as people. We didn't really gel well with them. Although, not that I ever showed it, but no one really liked them, basically. They weren't the nicest of store management. So anyway, so I'm like, oh, I wonder why because that's another thing as well. Like, they didn't really talk to us, and especially not like the young black people that used to work there. Like, they hardly ever interacted with us. So that's why I was surprised when I was being called up to the manager's office. And so they basically say to me that they did like a till balance or whatever of the till I was on, and £100 was missing. So I'm like, okay, what's this got to do with me? So another thing is, okay, so those who've worked in a supermarket, you'll know what I'm talking about. At the end of your shift, you would collect all the money in the till, you'd put it in this little, kind of like a little canister, I don't even remember what the official term was, and you'd put it up this thing, like it was like a chute, and it would shoot all the way up into the cash office. That was like what you would always do. And the cash office, whoever was doing the cash office would be the ones counting it and everything, and they would be able to balance the tills basically. So there would be till differences like all the time for different reasons. Perhaps someone's not taking the change properly or whatever. But for some reason, they were really honing in on this particular till difference. And they were saying to me, like, there was £100 missing from the till. So I was like, I don't know anything about it. You know, I technically wasn't even supposed to be working that day. So I don't know who was on the till before me or who was on the till after me, but I don't know anything about it. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we just want to bring your attention to this. So they show me a video of when my friend has come in and me and her chatting, and they show the video of me passing her the Oyster card. So I was, at the time, I was showing her something in a magazine or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I was showing her something and we were talking about whatever that was. And then I passed her the Oyster card at the same time. So imagine you're engaging in a conversation with someone, but you pass them something. That's exactly what I did. So on the camera, the assistant manager was like to me, how do I know that's the Oyster card? And I was like, and then it hit me that these dickheads are accusing me of stealing. Like, they're actually accusing me of stealing this £100. And I was like, wow. Like, because at first I just thought maybe they were trying to do some fact finding or they were trying to understand stuff. But when they showed me that CCTV clip and then he said the comment of how do I know that's the Oyster card, I was like, rah, you lot really think I'm a thief, innit? So anyway, I'm like, well, I don't know. I was like, it's definitely an Oyster card. And I explained exactly what I've just said before about how I wasn't even supposed to be at work and I'd already planned to meet her with the Oyster card, etc. And they were like, yes, but why did you have your bag with you in the customer service desk? Like, it's strictly forbidden for you to have like your personal belongings by the till, which, looking back, obviously, you know, I was young and not really like, you know, so I do get that. And I hold my hands up for that, definitely. But my argument was that that was not my fault. I had nowhere to put my bag at the time, and the supervisor who was on duty was the one who told me to put my bag there. I wouldn't have put it there if she hadn't told me to. They weren't trying to hear that. As far as they was concerned, why's your bag there? Why's your bag there? And this money's now gone missing. So they suspended me on the spot. I could not believe my life. I was like, I've never gotten in trouble in like my whole life, apart from obviously getting in trouble from my parents, but I've never gotten in trouble like with the law. I've never stolen anything in my life. So for me to be accused of stealing to the point where I'm even in trouble at work, I was like, wow, like I'd never experienced anything like that before. I thought I was in a movie. So then they said, okay, they're going to do like a disciplinary hearing, so to speak. And they said that I could have like a representative with me within the meeting, etc. So my mum comes with me to the thing. They said that my mum couldn't be the person to represent me, like to sit with me basically. So my mum had to wait for me in the car while the hearing was going on. And I went in with my boyfriend at the time, who also worked there. So anyway, they basically go on and on to basically say that I shouldn't have had my bag there. This money's gone missing. They're not convinced that it was an Oyster card. In fact, they're quite confident that I somehow, so they were kind of trying to say that I basically somehow, the same CCTV that saw me put my bag there, the same CCTV that saw me put, pass her the Oyster card, is the same CCTV that they couldn't see me supposedly taking this £100 and putting it in that Oyster card. Anyway, so yeah, so they were like basically, yeah, they're dismissing me on the grounds of gross misconduct, etc. When I say, like at that time, it literally felt like my whole world was crashing. And I know that sounds really dramatic. At the time was obviously, like I say, struggling financially, you know, loads of debt to pay off, supporting family at home, already not earning a lot as it is. And for me at the time, I felt like that was my life, if that makes sense. And I just felt like, wow, and then on top of that, I thought, if you're dismissing me, what's that going to do for me when I want to then go for other jobs? And it shows that I've been dismissed. Like, I broke down, guys. The way I broke down, I proper broke down because I could not believe what was happening to me. And even more so because I didn't do it. So for me, it was just like, wow, I've been accused of something I didn't do. And they've managed to build a case against me for something that I did not do. Anyway, so there was an appeal process for this. So I appealed to like the head office, and I wrote a very long letter explaining the scenarios of the day, saying the fact that, like, the thing is, how could I steal when I weren't even like planning on even being there? That was not my shift. At least if I was going to steal, would I not have planned it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but the fact that I just happened to walk in and the supervisor was the one that actually begged me, and this is how it gets thrown back in my face. And that supervisor was nowhere to be found in terms of like coming to back me up on anything I said, by the way. Anyway, so I appeal to the head office. The head office writes back to me and says, yep, a different store is going to hear your appeal and make a decision basically on whether or not you should have your job back. Within this time, it then gets discovered that supervisor, she, the one that actually begged me to stay, had been, had been sacked for stealing money from the cash office. So she really came to frame me, guys. She really came to frame me. The fact that she even begged me like that, she put me exactly in like at that till as well. She told me it was fine for me to leave my bag there, etc. She really, really came to try and destroy my life. Wow, could not believe it. So anyway, I end up going to this hearing with, shout out to my girl Nisha. You guys would have seen her on my career plug series. So she came with me to this hearing. And, you know, we talk through all of the facts, and they basically decide that I should never have been dismissed because they clearly like had a brain to identify that. How could I have possibly stole anything if I wasn't even meant to even be there? There's no camera evidence of me supposedly taking this money. There was just so many holes to the story. So they concluded that it was unfair for me to be dismissed, and they reinstated my job. They gave me a little warning for having my bag like behind the desk, but they reinstated my job and I went back to work like the following week. When I'm looking back, another reason I'm even telling this story is that I think it's so important to know and understand your rights in a workplace environment and understand kind of how you should and shouldn't be treated. Me personally, I felt like, looking back, I was definitely feel like I was targeted like racially. I feel like I was racially discriminated. Like, oh yeah, the black girl, yeah, she definitely must have stolen it. Oh, and her black friend came in as well. Oh yeah, definitely, you know, between the lot of them, she definitely must have passed her some money. I definitely felt that. And with some of the stuff that was said to me as well, like in certain terms and certain things that they said, it was quite clear that there was racial motivations to the way in which they treated me. And I look back and I'm like, I just wish that I knew my rights. I wish I really understood kind of the system and I probably could have taken them to one big tribunal and really won some money, you know. I really could, not even about the money, but I could have really taken it further, the way in which they treated me. They didn't follow the right protocols either in terms of the way in which they dismissed me. They literally just dismissed me just like that, no warning, didn't even kind of like really give me like a proper formal written, this is why, like this is happening. So there were so many things that they didn't do, so much protocol they didn't follow. And I, at the time, was just so happy to have my job back and so happy to have my name cleared, because for me that was another thing. Like, people that I've worked with for years, that know me, that I vibe with on a day-to-day, the fact that they may even have had the slightest speculation that I mean, the ones who knew me knew that there was no way I would have stole that money, but it was just still like people that don't really know you or whatever, and how does that look, the fact that I've even been accused, do you know what I mean? It's like anything in life. If you're accused of something, even if your name is cleared, the fact that you were even accused, it's a lot. So I had all of that, and I was just so happy that, okay, finally I can clear my name. Happy to be back at work so I can earn money. And I remember that particular summer I banged out the most overtime, because that was like, okay, I need to earn this money and pay off some of these debts. So yeah, I think for me at the time, I don't think I handled it in the best way. I was just so happy to have my job back. And looking back, a lot of people will be like, why would you even go back? Like let them reinstate your job, but then resign. But I just didn't feel like I had that much options at the time in terms of like what to do next. And I just really wanted to get back and be earning again. And that's another reason why I want to share this story, that sometimes, like, you know, when you're struggling financially, it can really cloud your judgment, and you can really be pushed into, I don't want to say desperation, but you can be pushed into scenarios that perhaps you wouldn't usually find yourself in, and you wouldn't usually think that way. But because money is at the forefront, you just kind of just accept whatever. And at that time, I was just like relieved to have got my job back, relieved to be earning again. And, you know, even then I was out of work for a period of, I think that whole thing wasn't that long. It was like 2 or 3 weeks, but it felt like an eternity at the time. But even in that time, I was trying to look for jobs, wasn't getting any luck. No one was calling me back or anything like that. So I just thought, let me stick this out for a little while longer. And then once I know exactly what I want to do next in terms of where I want to go, then I can apply. I didn't want to just jump to another job, if that makes sense. Even though where I wasn't like I was there trying to progress in the supermarket or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying like my career goals wasn't that I wanted to stay there and work my way up. It was just like I was still studying at uni and still trying to figure out what I wanted to really do. So I didn't want to just jump to like another similar job. I kind of just wanted to stay there and then move on. But yeah, like when I look back, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe a whole me got fired, you know. Like, it's wild when I think about it. And fired for stealing. Not even fired because, you know, people get fired sometimes for different reasons, but fired for stealing. Stealing, like me that couldn't even steal penny sweets from the Woolworths them days there. They're like, nah, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I'm so obviously happy that I was able to clear my name and stuff. But I just wanted to share that as kind of like, if you ever find yourself in a situation with work where you're being unfairly treated, or they are accusing you of things unfairly, they're not following the right protocol, etc., please do not drop it. Like, there's so many kind of like bodies and organizations that can help support you and help fight your case. I'll put the link in the description box of one that I got to find out about in my more recent years in my career. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I think it starts with an A. But anyway, it's like an organization that predominantly supports like employees in terms of giving them advice on matters in the workplace and unfair treatment, unfair dismissal, etc. So I'll put that link in my description box. But yeah, guys, please don't find yourself in situations where you are being treated unfairly at work. Like, take it as far as possible. Do not let the money side of things kind of cloud that, because when I look back, I'm like, I should have sued these people. What was wrong with me? But you know, such is life. It's all done now. But yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. That was pretty much the story. Let me know what you think. Let me know your comments in terms of what you think of the whole story. And make sure you stay tuned for another story time segment. But yeah, I hope you guys are all good. Please do, if you've not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. Please do give this video a thumbs up. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.